Good afternoon, welcome back. This is Saima. If you haven't met me before, I'm a nurse from Southeast England. I provide information about UK nursing, process of becoming a nurse here in the UK, visas, accommodation, groceries, house rent, each and everything we discuss on this channel. So if these topics interest you by any chance, you can consider subscribing. You can also share my channel with your friends and colleagues who wants to come to the UK or who are already in the UK. I post videos about jobs also, and what are the discounts available, from where you can get the free items here in the UK. So I think you should subscribe if you haven't done so. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. In today's video, we are going to talk about my experience. So in my life, I had total two interviews for band 6 post, and the first interview I failed. I'm going to tell you all the points why I failed the interview and what was wrong with the interview, what were my mistakes and what I learned from them, and how I passed the second interview. So this is all we are going to discuss. So getting a job in the UK is not difficult, it's quite easy, but the criteria, if you're from overseas, you know that it's difficult. You need to pass the English test, which is time consuming. If you haven't studied from English medium school, it can be quite challenging to pass English test. On top of that, you need to do CBT and OSCE when you are here in the UK. So it's quite difficult if you don't know the things, but if you are regular viewer of on this channel, if you watch my videos, I think I made it very clear and simple how you can become a nurse in the UK. Right, so when you come in the UK, you start working as band 3, and when you pass your OSCE, you become band 5 nurse. After some time, you get experience in your department, or if there is any vacancy in your department for band 6 post, you can apply for that. But I would recommend you to get at least 1 year or 2 years experience before you apply for band 6 post. Why is that? Because there are certain things, there are competencies that you need to attain. There are different policies, rules and regulation. You should be aware about those. Then only you can teach your fellow colleagues or your junior members of the staff. If you don't know anything, how you are going to teach them? Right? So if the new member of staff comes in your department and you are the band 6 and you don't know the policies and guidelines, there is no way that you are going to teach all those values, all those policies to a new member of the team. Right? So I would suggest wait at least 1 or 2 years, get the required experience, learn about the policies, rules, regulation, guidelines, or get your competencies before you apply for band 6 role. Then only you will be a good leader. Yes, even I know some people, they work as a manager or a supervisor in their country. When they come here in the UK, they start as band 5 nurse. No, same as we do. They start as band 3, they do their OSCE here, and then they become band 5. Whether you are a manager or a supervisor in your country, it doesn't matter. Whether you've done MSc or BSc or diploma nurse, it doesn't matter. All the nurses, they start from the scratch. All right, they come here, they start as band 3, they do their OSCE exam, they pass the NMC exam, OSCE it's called, and then they get their NMC pin. After getting the pin, they become band 5 nurse. So if you have experience 10 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. You start here from scratch. All right, same when I was in Dubai, their rule is the same. Whether you have 10 years experience or 20 years experience, you start from scratch, from zero. All right, so I would suggest wait for at least 1 or 2 years before you apply for band 6 role. Now I went for an interview and I failed it. There were many things that were the trouble in my interview. At first, the candidates who appeared for the interview were maybe 20 or 25. and most of them were from the same department. So they thought they preferred the candidate from their own department. That was the first point. Second point, from my side, I was heavily pregnant. Not heavily pregnant, I mean I was 3 months pregnant that time. 4 months. And then I was quite breathless, as you all know. I was a little bit breathless. On top of that, I was working and I went for the interview in my break time. So you can think what happened. I went to the interview room, on that department. It was in the education center. So I was waiting at the reception and the receptionist was not there. So I had to wait like 10 minutes for her. So I thought maybe I'll go for the interview so the timing was 2 p.m. and I reached there 1:50. So I was thinking in 10 minutes I can just sit there, relax before my interview. So unfortunately, when I went for the interview, the receptionist on that area was not there. So I had to wait for at least 10 minutes. All right, and the interviewers, they were waiting for me, and I was late for the interview by 1 minute. All right, by 1 minute I was late. All right, so in the beginning, that's the bad expression. My top tip here is you should always go for the interview ahead of time. Don't just take 10 minutes. I was at work, so I had my lunch and then I went for interview. So I spared 10 minutes only. I would suggest you take at least 20 minutes. Go there 20 minutes ahead of time. All right. That is my first tip. The second tip is, if you are pregnant or you're having any problem, or you are anxious, or you're having cough or fever or any disease or something, you're not feeling well, you can tell them that I'm not all right. Can I reschedule the interview? If they're happy to do it, they can do it, or else you can tell them beforehand that I'm sorry, I'm pregnant, that's why I'm a bit breathless. I didn't tell them because my tummy was not that obvious, so I was thinking it's all right, and I was still very confident in talking. I was not too much breathless, but I was breathless as compared to my normal breathing rate. So that was my second that is my second tip. If you are going through anything, just tell them ahead of your interview. Just tell them that you're not feeling well, or you having a sore throat, or you having cough or something like that. Whatever the problem is, you can tell them ahead of time. That is the second tip. The third tip I have here is they gave me a presentation. So the presentation topic was if you are given this job, how will you incorporate all the responsibilities of band 6 into your daily routine, and how would you encourage your junior team members to do the same? So it was quite a difficult topic if you think about it. You need to include all the policies, rules, regulation, aims of the ward, or values of the hospital trust. What can you do better? How can you incorporate those things when you have a busy schedule, and how can you lead the team if there is no staff? So you need to, I was there, it was mentioned that I need to include all those things in my presentation. So the presentation was for 15 minutes. So when you do the presentation, you need to if you're doing on the projector or a computer or a laptop, well and good, it will be easy for you, but you need to make sure your device is working properly, Wi-Fi is connected, and you don't have any problem with the data or anything like that, or with your Wi-Fi setting. So you need to be there at least 30 minutes before the interview. Set up your laptop or your computer, or if you're using the hospital's computer, then only you need to log in and then start your presentation before the interviewers come. All right, but if you're not doing it online, if you don't want to include the digital version, if you don't want to do it on your laptop, then you can print your presentation at least 3 or 4 but before the interview date they will tell you how many interviewers will be there. So if there are 3 people, you need to print 3 copies. If there are 4 people, you can print 4 copies. All right, and then for each interviewer you can give that copy to them so they can read and they can see what you are saying. All right, so with the presentation you need to make sure that you are confident and you are not just reading it from the paper. All right, my presentation wise it was really good. I didn't have any problem with the presentation. I didn't do it on laptop. I did it on the paper, and they were really happy with my presentation. But you need to practice. Practice makes it perfect, makes you perfect. So before my interview for 2 weeks, I was preparing for the presentation. So because you need to get all the data, you need to get all the information, up-to-date information from the trust. So I was giving the interview in my trust, so it was quite easy for me to go on internet page and search about the policies or guidelines and rules and regulation. So it was quite handy. And also whenever I was at work, sometimes if I get time, I will read the policies and guidelines and write something about on my presentation paper. But if you are going for an interview in the other organization, you need to prepare all those notes beforehand. When you are home, search about that organization and write the rules and regulation. What is the aim of that department? What is the aim of that ward? And as a senior leader, what is your responsibility? How you are going to contribute in helping other students or other colleagues to perform well in their daily routine. So these are the things you need to make sure that a band 6 role is a leader's role, a supervisor's role. So if you're not confident enough, you're not going to get that job. You need to be confident and you need to make sure that you need to assume when you go for interview, you need to assume the people sitting there, they are your fellow colleagues or they don't know anything and you are there to tell them. All right, if they have given you a presentation topic, you need to explain each and everything in detail with your point of view. All right, if I'm saying this, the aim of this word is to promote patients' health, patients' well-being, or to promote personal hygienic care, or whatever the aim of the word is, and then you need to add and say, how am I going to contribute in this? What is my role in that? And also in between the presentation, the examiners, the interviewers, all of them, they will be writing the notes. So don't worry about them. All right, whatever you say, they will write it down. All right, and at the end of the presentation, then only they are going to interview. So what happened, they started with my presentation and then they asked me, am I okay? You are a bit late, 1 minute late. So I said, I explained it to them. The receptionist was not there and everything. So, but they told me that I was 1 minute late. So my confidence level was already 90%. Anyways, started with the presentation went very well, and then they were writing down each and everything I was saying, and at the end they started the interview. So when they start to ask you questions, I've already made a video on the interview questions for band 6. If you haven't watched that, I can put the link in the description below so you can watch that video. All right, so they started the interview. How it goes, the first person asks you a question, then you answer it, and then as you speak they will write it down. Yeah, so as you speak they write it down. Then the second person asks you a question, they write down your answer. The third person asks your question and they write it down. So it can be quite challenging, it can be quite difficult, because what happens is you feel like you are in a conference room and everybody is staring at you. When you answer this question, when you answer a question, one person is writing down and other 3, they would be looking at you like you are doing something wrong. I'm just joking. All right, so it can be quite challenging if you are not very confident. The tip here for you is you need to be confident, you need to be very content and show yourself that you know everything, and this is your time to sell yourself. All right, this is your time to tell them that you are the best candidate for this job. All right, so the presentation wise I didn't have any problem. Only problem mine was I was quite breathless, so they thought I am confused. And they also asked me about there was one question where I felt like I didn't answer them properly, and that was the question, what is the thing that make you feel worried and anxious at work as a band 6 job. Because they said we know that you are already working as a band 6 in your department, even though you are band 5 nurse, but you're working as band 6. Because I knew that team members, I knew that managers from the other ward, so they knew that also, that even though I'm band 5, I'm doing band 6 job. So she said, you are doing band 6 job, so what is the difficult thing that you don't like about being band 6? What I said that the thing in the morning, early morning, when you ask someone to go to the other department, or you are going to move the staff to the other departments, and the people, they start arguing, and I don't like that. I don't know, but I felt like they didn't like this answer. So, and it's true, it's very true. As band 6, when you tell the other staff that I'm so sorry, can you go to the other department to work, or you are bank shift today, can you go to other ward to work? So they feel like we are asking them to leave the ward, and it's not a nice feeling. When they start arguing, I really don't like it. I'll be honest, I don't like it. So I told them honestly that I don't like this thing when people start arguing that I don't want to go there, I was there yesterday, or always whenever I come in this ward you move me, or these things I cannot tolerate. even now. But all my colleagues, they are really good, they understand that, and we have really good managers and matron. They made it clear to everyone now that if a band 6 or band 7 is asking you to move, you need to be polite, and you need to be you need to answer them in a mannerable way, with manners, and you should move to the other department if they are asking you to do so. All right, so now all of my colleagues, they know that if we ask them to go somewhere, we are not telling them from our own side, it is the decision from the senior team, right? So this was the thing I told them, that I don't like this when people argue. So I could see from their faces that something is wrong. All right, so if they ask you anything like that, you are not going to tell them. Even though you are telling them your weakness, you need to make it your strength. You need to tell them that even though I don't like it, but I have managed to control myself, and I've managed to learn from it, and I have developed some skills to how to talk to people. I've developed good communication skills. So this is the way you can answer them. It will not intimidate them or you. So you need to you don't need to be honest. I'm just joking. You can be honest, because they also know that this is quite tricky, and all the management team, they are aware that people, they don't like to move around, but because of the staff shortage, we have to do it. There is no other way. So everybody knows that, and to be honest, if they ask you to move somewhere, you are going to work even here and there. So what's the difference? You can work in this ward or that ward, it doesn't matter. So if you're a new nurse, if they ask you to go somewhere, go for it, because you will learn, you will get more experience, and you will gain knowledge. It is a good opportunity for you to learn. All right, so this was my mistake, that I answered them honestly. And also I heard that I'm telling you all the things. Right, so I was in the lift, and they didn't know, there were two ladies talking in the lift. It's a hospital policy, they should not be discussing that in the lift. but they were talking about it. They said that they are going to choose this person. They named that person, and they didn't know who I was. They didn't know I am one of the candidate. So they were talking with each other. Two of the girls, they were talking. They were from that ward where I went for the interview, and they were saying, it doesn't matter how many people come for the interview, they are just going to hire this person because she's in the ward for the past 10 years. Obviously. So I didn't say anything. I kept quiet, and I didn't let them feel that I heard something, or because at first I didn't know who they were talking about. All right, but when they mentioned their ward, it clicked in my mind. This was the interview I went for. Anyways, so that job was not for me. I'm really happy with my current job, with my current ward. So these were the points. There were some my fault also, some my mistakes also. You can learn from those, and if they give you presentation, prepare it beforehand, because then only you can pass the interview. And if you fail the interview, it's all right. Go for the interview next time. It doesn't matter if you fail, because opportunities they come quite often, and if you don't get a job in this department, you will get it in the other department, and that will be the best word for you. That will be the best department for you. This is the thing I learned from it. Now I got the job in my own department, and I'm so happy. So maybe God knows that job was not for me, but I learned a lot. I learned how to answer the questions in the interview. I learned how I can explain it in a better way. I learned how to handle the difficult patients, and how to make how to use the values and mission of the trust in day-to-day routine. At first, I was not. I learned. I read about it. I wrote it down in my notes, but I was not 100% confident how to use those things in my day-to-day routine. But after going for that first interview, I learned each and everything, and I learned 100% how to pass the interview. All right, and there are always there are things that you can learn from the first time job. Now, I mean, if you go for the interview and you don't pass, you will be able to learn from it. You will be able to answer the questions in your in your second interview in a better way, and for sure you will get that job. All right, and of course your confidence level, and your encouragement level, and your feeling of being very content with it will be very high as well. Your confident level goes up when you go for the second interview. All right, so that's it for today. I don't know, I was just lying down with my baby, and I thought let me share this interview with my family, with my viewers, because somebody recently commented that she's having an interview for band 6 very soon. So it just came in my mind, it just clicked in my mind that what happened at my first interview. So presentation wise, it was really good, only that because they had someone in their mind that they are going to hire that person from the ward, so it was that job was not meant for me. That's what I learned from it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. You can also share it with your friends and colleagues, and also with them who wants to apply for band 6 or who should apply for band 6. All right, and let me know in the comment section if you had any bad experience with the interview. If you learned anything from it, let me know also if it was helpful. All right, I'll see you soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye. God bless you all.